Football is deeply confusing. I demand an NFL investigation into how it is that the Broncos could do that to Dallas last week, and then the Broncos could look like that this week. So I wake up this morning with one question on my mind above all others that I wanted an answer to, and I got an answer to it. I was like, I wonder how the NFL feels about the military. And so I'm glad that was answered completely. Everything else is up for grabs. I don't know what happened with Washington, but I want to talk about what happened before we turn these microphones on. For some reason, you guys were talking about the mustachioed kicker of the Detroit Lions.
Oh, that poor guy.
He's so bad. What did he do? Where did he get him?
So, okay, he went to Minnesota, and I read on his Wikipedia page that he was a kicker for his first 2 years at Minnesota, and then they switched him to change positions, and then he became a punter. So he wasn't even like the best kicker on the team.
So he was so bad as a kicker that they moved him to punter.
But now he's a kicker in the NFL, and he's going in to kick the game-winning field goal attempt for the Lions. And then I guess he like kicked the ground first or something. I don't really even know what happened. That was just an ugly football game.
I think that the Detroit Lions were trying to save money on Matt Prater, and I've got so many questions here. But one of them, Mike, didn't your football team spend $100 million on guards last week? Like, why can't you block anybody?
Poor Mike.
Well, Dan, that was the tackles. The guards actually kind of held up. All the pressure was coming from the edge. Oh, we really need Jack Conklin back.
Oh, Jack Conklin. He was born to be a tackle. I mean, he was.
I'd say that's one of those burn the tape games, but I want to show Joe Woods, our defensive coordinator, that tape as we escort him out of the building and make him take his belongings. I know Baker gets far too much credit when the Browns win, and he gets far too much of the blame when they lose, and he was not good today at all. But that defense has been the most confusing part about this Cleveland Browns season. They are like a very true 500 team because there's good Cleveland and bad Cleveland, and it begins with that defense. They have so much talent on that defense. They addressed it a lot in free agency. They spent a lot of money, and for them to make Mac Jones look like Tom Brady was so jarring considering the effort they just put up in Cincinnati.
What are the Patriots? I know there's like 10 teams. There's like 10 teams in the league that we can say this about.
No, hold on. It's a great question. I feel like you could ask it about a lot of teams. And here's the thing, though, Stugotz, because football, the sport is batshit crazy. Okay, so not only do the Dolphins in a lost season win a game that they have no right winning, they also deny us of being able to see the MVP look like the MVP and enjoy the game aesthetically. But in doing that, this is what happens today. Because the Ravens and the Bills lost, all of a sudden, Pat's Cleveland mattered because the division is open. Both divisions are open. And so you're watching a game between Cleveland and the Patriots, and you've got access points for both of those teams. But when you ask me, what are the Patriots? The Titans have won 6 in a row. They're the hottest team in the league. I defy you to explain to me, Stugotz, what the hell Washington did today. How did that happen?
I can't explain it, Dan, but I can tell you this. Don't think about it. Don't think about saying it. I care about you because I know you're thinking about it. Don't say it.
I'm not saying anything other than what the hell was that? I'm asking
That's football, but you and I have been discussing this forever. We have no earthly idea what we're watching every Sunday. And sometimes on Sundays, football happens. And it's happened a lot over the last couple of weekends. And it happened again today. It happened in Washington. It happened in other places. Football just happens. Like weird things happen in the NFL.
That's unacceptable every week.
It's unacceptable analysis.
The Lions-Steelers game was not football, Stugotz. We need to just exclude that from the narrative.
That was COVID.
Right now,
the Lions-Steelers game was the greatest tie in the history of ties. That game had everything.
Oh my God.
We all lost again. We all lost that game.
No, Stugotz, nobody loves it more when somebody ties because now he's going to obsess the entire second half of the season about how important this tie was. Do you even remember the tie you were arguing on behalf of all of last year? Do you even remember the teams involved in the tie that you spent all of last season yelling at us what an important tie it was?
I believe it was the Eagles tie, and it was a big tie because that division was so lousy. I can't remember who it is that they tied, but I'm not saying it was a tie for any
Cincinnati.
for Thank you, Mike. I'm not saying it was like an important tie, Dan. It was just a very entertaining tie. Like
No,
really
it was not. No,
No,
you
it was.
take that back.
Yes, it
Listen,
was.
you take that back. You take that back.
No.
You take that back.
Mike,
Listen,
Mike, back me
great.
up.
no,
Thank
listen.
you.
It was great because what can go wrong will go wrong, and that was that game.
Mason
It got-
Rudolph.
Oh,
So what?
Jared
He's not
Goff.
a medicine ball.
Yeah,
Jared Goff
Goff looked
had,
so
he had
heavy.
53 yards passing in regulation. I read a tweet from Kyle
He's so
Meineke
bad.
that said he had 53 yards passing in regulation, the fewest by a Lions quarterback who played an entire game since Joey Harrington, who was 5 of 22 passing for 47 yards in a 2004 game against Green Bay.
Tony could throw for 50 yards. Am I right, Tony?
Like 114 yards in 5 quarters.
I feel like Mike is the only one who understands what it is I'm saying. It was a sloppy field.
Because he
Okay?
agrees with you. That's why you're saying.
No.
You take it back.
No,
I'm
no,
going to
I
drive
will
to.
not.
I'm
I
going
will
to drive
not.
to Parkland.
Me
I'm
too.
gonna,
Let's go, Dan.
You don't think
That
that game was
game-
wildly
Look,
entertaining? The game
Scott,
was wildly entertaining. It was a
Jessica,
disaster.
Jessica, you're a Steelers fan. I want you to tell me when the Detroit Lions double
Bears
covered the
fan
wrong.
this weekend.
When the
Oh my
Detroit
God.
Lions double covered the wrong guy at the goal line, and Mason Rudolph only had to throw the ball 3 yards to a guy on a broken coverage that was just standing in the end zone, and he threw it at his feet from 3 yards away. I will not allow Stugatz to say that was entertaining.
That's what
I mean-
made it entertaining. You had no idea what was going to happen when Goff dropped back. You had no idea what was going to happen when Rudolph dropped back. No one wanted to win the game. There were just error after error. Dan, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful mess. It really was.
I
It was
Greatest
very
tie.
sloppy.
No. It was the most entertaining game of the 1 o'clock games by far.
That's true, but the 1 o'clock games just
Woof.
stunk. That's
Woof.
why. I mean,
All the
what would be the runner up for most entertaining 1 o'clock game today? Maybe the I don't even know, the Buccaneers game.
Chris
think
Cody.
I think the Bills game is still going on. That game took forever to finish.
Chris
And-
Cody came on today, and when we started, said, "I have pity for myself today." We all feel a little. Those 1 o'clock games make you feel. Sundays are dirty anyway, but those 1 o'clock games make you feel a little extra gross going to bed tonight.
Only Scott Hansen enjoyed those 1 o'clock games. He's the only person in America because he'll enjoy
Oh,
anything. I'm
God,
convinced at this
It's
point.
guys, I'm telling you, it's the first time in my life where not even gambling made those games entertaining. Nothing.
That's not
compared.
true. You stop. Now you're
No,
lying.
hold
Now
on.
you've gone too far.
Hold on a second.
No, drive to Parkland. Let's go.
We might have to. Swift 13 and a half over on the carries was easy money in the first quarter. Love that.
This is what I'm willing to do if we have an overcrowding jail problem at all. I would be willing in America to punish criminals by just making them bet correctly on Vikings games. I would like to make them
You can't do
try
it.
to
I finally learned. I
I'm
I said, Mike, stop trying to make sense of this team. Just
Uh,
go the other way.
I am so glad you brought this up. I'm not betting on another Viking game the remainder of the season. Sometimes they look like they can win the Super Bowl, and sometimes they look like they should have a top 5 pick of the draft. I have no idea. Like, I'm not doing it anymore. They are the most confounding team in the NFL, man.
What about the Panthers? I mean, they're all
Yeah.
confounding.
I want to just marvel at. There were so many plays where Kirk Cousins, someone is coming in unblocked on him, or he is doing some ridiculous thing. What he converted on 4th down, Stugatz, in the end zone when he threw it to that big hairy guy who looks like an actual Viking, and it was just sort of a flutter ball that he threw up in the air. Kirk Cousins in that game was better than Justin Herbert. In fact, Chris Cody, Justin Herbert, since you joined his side,
Chargers fans are so mad at me right now.
Charger Chris.
I read a great stat from Pro Football Reference that said Justin Herbert had a 72.5 passer rating today. It's the 3rd time in the last 30 days he's had a passer rating under 75. Before October, he had just one game in his career with a passer rating under 75. So that was the Chris Cody effect in a nutshell.
Yep.
I want to ask you guys a serious question here. A serious question as you guys sit here and say how wonderful a tie it is, because I do believe that there is a question from that game that is worth asking. Like, is Dan Campbell celebrating on the way
Yes.
home? Like, is yes?
I mean, and that's
100%.
such a great question. You have to feel better about tying than you like. Imagine if you went 0-9 today, like that's really bad. But that didn't happen, so you have to celebrate. But then you also didn't win. You don't have a win. There's no one in your win column. What do? You have to celebrate.
He's definitely celebrating. On the other side, Tomlin is devastated. So it's like, I mean, but that's the bar that, you know, each organization has set for themselves, where Dan Campbell is thrilled if he goes 0-16-1 because he can still go 0-16. And Mike Tomlin is devastated, absolutely devastated by a tie because that could hurt his chances. That was not a good tie for Mike Tomlin, Dan.
I want to tell you a couple of things here. I enjoyed hearing a couple of things. First of all, when the Washington football team went up on Tampa 12-0, I burst out laughing when the announcer screamed, and that's Washington's largest lead of the season at 12-0. But my favorite play of the entire game, I don't know if you guys saw this, it was the Jacksonville punter, okay? He gets his punt blocked, and then the ball gets recovered, and he's sort of standing around, and he's confused, he's disoriented. He tries to make the tackle. He gets stiff-armed in the face and then dragged into the end zone with the ball that just came off of his foot. And he's standing there, and he's mad, and there's the football again, and he takes it, and he kicks it better than he did the first time. Because he was so hurt and so wounded. Cam Newton stole the 4 o'clock show, though, right?
He's back.
Yep,
He's back apparently.
He made it very apparent.
Well, for like the first 15
3 for
minutes,
4,
and then the rest of the game
1
was
yard.
kind of unwatchable.
It was pretty cool to see him back, though. It was
awesome.
I mean,
and I think they might be on to something because New England, towards the end of his time there last season, they didn't really trust him throwing the ball, but he was still a really good weapon. Not what he was in his prime, but in that goal distance, you have to account for him. And he very clearly, it looked like that was kind of a broken play, that touchdown run, and his athleticism just had him turn the corner. And then to throw a touchdown out of that set, I think like they might have something with this 2 quarterback system that they have in Carolina. Just use Cam Newton in the goal line situation.
But let me ask you guys a question, because it was a cool moment. He takes off his helmet, gets penalized 15 yards. He's just screaming at the cameras, I'm back, I'm back. One of the thoughts I had, though, as the urinator on Fun Moments is, man, he looks slow getting to that corner. Now, he's stronger than everyone else. He's physically stronger than everyone else, but he did not look fast getting to that corner.
Are we
Mike.
sure he wasn't saying my back? My back.
I will. No,
got it.
It was a broken play. It was sluggish at the start because I think he made the wrong read, and then he turned it on. It's impossible in the NFL to look slow when you're turning the corner on a corner.
It was pretty impressive from Mike. From this standpoint, it was pretty impressive. Everyone knew Cam was getting the ball, he was running the ball, and he still got there. Like
everyone no. It was impressive because everyone, including Cam's offensive line, thought he was just going to take the ball up the middle, which I'm pretty sure was the play. Mm-hmm. He salvaged it and he turned it outside just based on pure athleticism. I thought it was a really awesome moment. Christian McCaffrey seems to be really important to the Carolina Panthers. Maybe it's because he's not doing like these highlight reel 50-yard runs that get sprayed all over the red zone. But then you see his stat line, and he didn't even play that fourth quarter. And he was their entire offense today, basically. That and Cam, the specialty package.
I'm sure his body will hold up totally fine from being thrown to. I think he had 10 receptions in that game. I also see what they're doing at quarterback because, Stugatz, this was said during the Denver game. I heard it in the fourth quarter. And Teddy has tried only 2 passes more than 10 yards downfield. Like that's why Carolina ended up moving on there and just trying XFL and Sam Darnold and basically and now going into the street to get a guy who was unemployed. And here's the thing about that league, Stugatz. They look up at their schedule and they're like, Atlanta, Miami, Washington, and they're like winnable games. And in Atlanta and Miami and Washington, they're looking at Carolina and they're like winnable game. Like that, that's what's happening the second half of the season. And none of our analysis matters because it's Mason Rudolph and Colt McCoy is limping around out there in week 8 or 9. Wait till you see at the end of the season who's still standing.
But they have a good defense, and McCaffrey is back, and he's been out for several weeks, and Darnold hasn't been good. And so, Mike, I don't think Cam Newton went there to like share time with anybody. I think eventually he's just going to start. But Cam Newton's, I think, is an upgrade over Sam Darnold because I don't think Sam Darnold's very good. And so that team has all like the pieces, Dan. If McCaffrey can stay healthy, it needs a quarterback. It needs a good quarterback, not a great quarterback, a good quarterback. And perhaps Cam Newton can be that for them the rest of the way.
So this Chris Straveller guy who came in for the Panthers, if you go on his Wikipedia page, he has
for the Cardinals.
Yes, sorry, going back to the Cardinals, he has, I think, the best Wikipedia photo of any NFL player in the history of Wikipedia photos. He's shirtless. He has a fur jacket on and a gold chain and a cowboy hat and sunglasses, and he's holding the Grey Cup over his head because he won the Grey Cup in the CFL.
I know this guy. Yeah. Ago. Yeah, I remember that photo. I would say
the
maybe
cool factor is like pretty high up. It's hard to beat.
No, he's got a legendary Wikipedia photo. I see your CFL Grey Cup winning quarterback with the cowboy hat, and I raise you just today's Lions kicker.
Can we talk more about him? What is his name? The guy with the mustache. Tony, what is his name? Stugatz loved his name. Santeros is what's his name? And what's
I know he's Hispanic, and that's why I was pulling for him. I was like, Hispanic guy, come on, baby. Let's win this thing.
Hispanic guy with a terrible mustache. Come on.
But it's a great kicker's name.
Ryan Santoso.
I mean, come on. Guy was born to kick. He was born to kick.
He was born to miss field goals for the Detroit Lions.
Mike, the guy had the weight of the world on his shoulders. I mean, everyone was pulling for the Lions tonight. Everybody.
We all knew that guy had no shot at making it. He was wearing it on his face.
I felt awful for him.
He was trying to hide it behind the terrible mustache, but we could all see it. It was right on his face.
Was anyone telling Dan Campbell through their televisions, just kneel it? When they had that one last opportunity with 8 seconds left, you knew that they were going to try some insane batshit lateral play that had more chances of blowing up in their face than not. I was just like begging man Campbell, don't give the Steelers this win. Just kneel it.
It's so frustrating, though, because as shitty as the Steelers played the entire game, they were still in position to kick a game-winning field goal in overtime. And then Pat Freiermuth fumbles the ball while they're trying to basically just get an extra 5 yards off the clock and then kick the field goal. They played so bad. The weather was disgusting. The field was horrible. Pitt played there like 2 nights ago against North Carolina, and it started torrential downpouring during overtime on North Carolina. And then they have a game there like 2 days later. It feels disgusting. Everyone's getting hurt. It's just a disaster of a game. And the Steelers still should have won it. And that fumble basically ruined the game.
But Smetty, tell me if you agree with this, and I can't believe I'm saying this. That was a Roethlisberger type game. Like the Steelers they actually missed Ben Roethlisberger today. If they have Roethlisberger, they win that game.
It is inexcusable organizationally that they're still trotting Mason Rudolph out there. Like that position has evolved so much, and he's going out there and he's doing that thing where he completes 20 passes for 180 yards, and you have no confidence whatsoever in him to be competent against the worst team in the league.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you do next week if Ben is still out. Like, do you keep playing Rudolph or do you try Dwayne Haskins? I think they probably think Mason Rudolph gives them the best chance to win, but what
they're afraid of with Haskins is disaster plays. They're afraid of a bunch of interceptions. With Rudolph, what you can get is solid incompetence that isn't turning the ball over a ton. Just really solid incompetence.
I would consider the Browns game from 2 years ago a Mason Rudolph disaster play, but that maybe is a non-football conversation.
Does he still have a lawsuit against Myles Garrett, or did they settle? Out?
Come on, that was years ago, man.
Is that still?
I think it was mutually
slowed down during the pandemic. The court system got backed up, so I don't really know where that one stands.
I think it was mutually assured destruction. Neither of them wanted that story out there anymore. And the whole he said aspect of it where it was just going nowhere. So now we'll just remember Mason Rudolph or something else other than that this game.
Tony, are the Bills fixed, or is that just the Jets? Stugatz, I'm coming after you in a second because I can't believe Mike White said this week he should have been the first pick in the draft in the Baker Mayfield draft. He said that. He actually said that.
Okay, he's got confidence.
He's got 4 interceptions today.
Well, don't worry about that, Dan. Mike had actually sent me a text, I think a group of us, a picture of Mike White that looks more like me than I look like me. which was terrifying. See if if you can pull it up and show it to Dan. He
sent
this to me, and I was like, you know what?
I need to hear him say bro, and then I'll know if he's really you or not, Tony.
Post game conference. You never see me and Mike White in the same room. But are the Bills fixed? It's weird because they look like absolute trash against the Jags. And then the truth, the fixer-up serum is going to New York and playing the Jets. And Josh Allen, I think, incompleted 7 passes. Like, they were firing on all cylinders on offense. I don't really know what to make of this.
Mike thinks the key is Dallas Knox. You just put him in and everything. Not Dallas Knox. Dawson Knox.
Yeah, I could see why doing the inventory. Yes. For tight end first name, Dallas is usually high on the list if it starts with a D and is a giant white guy.
But it is. It has unlocked him. It has unlocked him in the middle of the field for him to use. See, look at that. I mean, clean shaved, scary.
Tony, so let me just be clear on something here. I went to you with a question. You made it about you and immediately just wanted someone on the screen that made it more.
They look alike, don't they?
I mean,
Tony Cody.
It's a visual medium, Dan. You gotta. It's juggling both things at the same time.
But are the Bills fixed? I mean,
Bills could be
fixed.
Question.
The question was, are the Bills fixed? Not do you look like Mike White?
Well, yes, but Dawson Knox unlocks the offense. I think Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen were finally on the same page today. Like, there's just no way to cover Stephon Diggs when he's one-on-one without safety help. Like, they just throw the ball up to him and he catches it and runs for 65 yards. Like, that duo, I think, to me, is the best duo in the NFL from wide receiver and quarterback combo.
Tony had the Lions in the bucket of death. Is that a loss? What happens there? Or is that just you don't lose?
You have to lose. You have to lose in the bucket of death. So he survives by not losing.
I thought you had to win in the bucket of death.
Hold on. I want to stop for a second. Did he just call Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs the best combination in the league?
In a world that Tyreek Hill and Mahomes exist and Rodgers and Devontae Adams exist.
I'm telling you.
What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
I'm telling you that something's wrong with Mahomes. Okay, Tyreek Hill's been.
You had Adams as a top 3 playmaker for you last week on the show.
I know guys that I like to watch play. That's a different list.
No, but you don't think that Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams as a combination, like that doesn't often have 6 points in Jacksonville last week.
Correct, but
okay. I just want to be clear. You're going to stay out there with that because I know they were trying to move away from it, but I didn't want to I didn't want you to get away with just throwing that out there.
No, I'll stand on it. Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, best wide receiver and quarterback combo in the NFL right now. I'll stand on it.
But they need if Dawson Knox is out there, just to be clear. If Dawson Knox is not there, then you're
it gets null and void. It's null and void after that.
Chris Cody, are you the joy police? Chris Cody has pointed out that there are too many guys in the league that are pointing first downs, and it's gotten out of control. It's gotten totally out of control. It needs to. And Wellington Mara's kid has to pass a rule that you're not allowed to do this first down thing anymore.
And I'm trying to think in what other sports, like what's the equivalent? Like when you hit a 3-pointer and you run down and you do like the 3 goggles or whatever they do nowadays. Like, I don't know, like what other sport do you just like, hey, I just got a first down, so I'm going to pop up and tell you what I just did. It'd be like if someone's hitting a home run and as they're running around the bases, they're like, doing like the home runs. I don't know. It just seems, I feel like we can be more creative with our first down celebrations than just with a very, it does feel good actually.
Like what else would you do? Like what else would you do though?
I don't know, man. It's all you see. They love it.
It's the only thing that's allowed with these arbitrary taunting rules, which, by the way, how did this happen with the NFL? They publicly still fine Cassius Marsh. They say that Tony Correnti did everything right by the book. And then the NFL's own reporters, Ian Rappaport and Pelissero, they report that behind the scenes are like, wow, Tony Correnti botched that, huh? What is that? They just lie to you in public, and then we have to wait till an insider that works for the NFL to come out with a good saying, wow, they really botched this.
What are they doing? Lying to you in public like they did about that whole Kaepernick thing, and then one day they just said, never mind, we're wrong. Or that whole thing where before when they supported the military, it was when they were being paid $5 million to do so until the reports came out, hey, why are you making the military pay for this? And then they were like, oh, sorry, it was just really patriotism. It wasn't profit. And then today a big show of charity. You're surprised they lie to you to protect their image and their interests?
But that's the type of transparency that I think I'm asking for and I'm looking for. What you're having behind the scenes, have that be the first thing. Why are you trying to you're playing both sides when you're trying to do that thing and find Cassius Marsh. If I'm Cassius Marsh, and if I'm his agent, I absolutely get on the phone with my player rep saying, what's this report all about? Why am I still getting fined for this?
If I'm Cassius Marsh, I try to attach myself to that Gruden lawsuit, and I try to make a big, larger. I try to get.
It was a week ago, and I'm still on this. I'm sorry,
John.
Yeah, the only other thing that got my attention while I was still fixated on the Monday Night Football game from last week was Teddy Bridgewater's attempted tackle on Melvin Gordon.
What tackle?
I don't even think that can be considered an attempt. And it was Darius Slay, the fumble, right? The fumble recovery.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon fumbled the ball. I don't know. There's 18 guys there. He lost the ball. Slay fumbles it around and then runs it all the way back due to an assist from Teddy Bridgewater. Now, I know where Dan stands on this because he doesn't want any quarterbacks sliding in to make a tackle. Brown's season might have been ruined by Baker Mayfield trying to chase down a defender and make a tackle, and that's how he initially hurt his shoulder. But what you can't do, Teddy Bridgewater, is set a pick for the guy because he was there in an effort, because then you could still get jacked up. They can still take a shot at you. So why are you in the way?
Does it really matter if your quarterback's Teddy Bridgewater? I mean,
he could have made a play on it. That was a huge turn.
That's how you go with Drew Lock. I mean,
we've all seen Friday Night Lights. Do not make that tackle if you're a quarterback.
Mike, it sounds to me, it's taken you many years, but you have finally come around on what has always been viewed as, by others, not by me, as my extreme position of if a quarterback throws an interception, he should either immediately curl up in the fetal position or sprint as far away from the play as he possibly can at a maximum rate of speed. I prefer so he doesn't hurt his so he doesn't hurt his hamstring.
Block. Just seal the edge for Slay.
He took out two guys. Bridgewater took out two guys trying to get out of the way.
I'm with you. Run in the other direction, curl up in a ball, but don't seal the edge for the opposing defender. That game was lost on that play.
I want you guys to explain to me the difference between Denver last week and this week. I demand that. I want an investigation.
Are you demanding this?
I want an investigation attached to that Gruden lawsuit where they explain to me the difference between Denver goes into Dallas and is up 30-0. And they just got beat up by a Philadelphia team that they couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything against.
Well, here's my soft take on this. I'm not even sure it's hot. We saw Dak really struggle off of an extended break while he was nursing back to health. Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson both looked really bad today. I'm very curious to see what Ben Roethlisberger post-COVID and a break look like potentially next week on Sunday Night Football. I don't know if it's because they're COVID protocols and it makes it. I mean, the reports were that Aaron Rodgers was in the Fortress of Solitude doing yoga for 10 consecutive days, and so he kind of looked like a guy that was doing yoga for 10 consecutive days out on the NFL field today. So maybe it was just continuity, Dan.
I think that's actually that was the lowest scoring first half of the season. Those two quarterbacks, lowest scoring half of the first. You're trying to figure football out, man. Like, what are you doing?
Apparently, Russell Wilson was rehabbing 19 hours a day to get his finger back in shape. What does that mean? Does that mean that he rehabbed for 19 hours a day and then ate for an hour, like slept for 4 hours, and then that was his whole day? Like, you can't rehab for 19 hours a day, right? Like, we all agree that that's bullshit.
Well, isn't that just that perhaps he had something like electropulsing on his finger when he was doing whatever it is that he was doing?
Nice.
Then you don't get credit for rehabbing 19 hours. Mike, you're muted. You don't get credit for rehabbing 19 hours a day if you're just walking around having your normal life with like a little like sleeve on your finger.
Right. It's like listening to a book. I mean,
we can all do that.
I mean, maybe he just had water with tiny bubbles in it, because that seems to be the secret to his longevity. The quotes from the doctor that performed the surgery on Russell Wilson made me I wasn't really that aware of how bad this injury was outside of the camera angle initially that made it bad, like putting pins in it on his throwing hands. He was shocked that Russell Wilson was able to get out there, and by the looks of it, maybe he could have used another week.
Well, Mike, though, I like your theory. I don't think that that's a tepid theory. The idea that if you go into protocol or you're injured and miss several weeks, that the speed of the game does things to you. Because Stugatz, what odds do you think I could have gotten before that game that in the red zone, both Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson would throw interceptions in the end zone? Like neither one of them
do that, right?
Never. They like Carson Wentz is still out here saying, you know what? I'm going to flip it with my left hand. Carson Wentz is still out here saying, I'm going to throw it underhanded. And Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, it's, you're befuddled when they make a mistake like that.
I'm willing to go with that theory. I saw Rodgers miss some throws that he normally makes. There was a pass to the running back out of the backfield where if he hits him in stride, it's a touchdown. Aaron Jones, he threw it behind him. And so, I'm willing to go because there's not a better explanation. Like, Dak missed a week and he was, maybe he just, it took him a week to get back to being Dak again. And that offense took a week to get back to being that offense again. I'm willing to ride with Mike on that. It's a pretty good theory, actually.
Chris, how did you feel watching Aaron Rodgers today?
Well, it was an interesting experience because I was at my parents' house, so I was sitting with my mom for most of the game, and it was just basically turned into every time he did something that wasn't good, she would just go, "Huh, serves you right." And I was okay, so that's what this is going to be now.
Chris, wait, I've realized this over the last few weeks. I think moms have all turned against Aaron Rodgers now. My mom doesn't like him either. Like, she texts me every time they're on primetime, and she's like, Aaron Rodgers, hate the haircut.
Oh, no,
I'm like, okay.
No, you don't want to lose America's moms.
Dan, there was this viral TikTok of this woman. I think she's a Vikings fan, and she was going on and on about how much, how big of a phony he is and all this stuff. And it was all over TikTok and Twitter a couple weeks ago when the whole Aaron Rodgers thing happened. I'm like, I think the moms are out on Aaron Rodgers now.
I love, though, Chris, how you put it on your mom. I like that as if you don't want to wade into a discussion, I like the idea of using your mom as a shield.
Well, for me, it was more like when he's making decisions I'm just like, he doesn't seem as wise as he once did. These decisions don't seem as, he seems a little bit more reckless. The vibes that he used to give off, every throw he used to make, I would have been like, that's a good decision. But now it's just was that a good throw? I don't know.
It was a big injury that they sustained to Aaron Jones. I know Dylan, the quad father, came in relief and he looked good, but that was a sprained MCL. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, his looked a little bit worse, but still the same injury. Initially, he missed a couple of weeks. So into this playoff push for home field advantage in the NFC, looks like they're going to be without Aaron Jones here for a couple of weeks.
The quad father did push a couple of piles, though, at the
quad only, just backing people up. Wagner went back 6 feet because he just kept going.
He was moving the pile with his quads. It looked like a mass of humanity that just had a pair of quads on the bottom that was moving it. Aaron Jones is a big injury, and we've spent 9 weeks analyzing this stuff that we don't know anything about, and there are going to be so many more injuries, plus pandemic COVID, that by the end of the season, the Cardinals are going to be 8-9. They're going to and we're going to be like, why didn't that Grey Cup guy in the fur on Wikipedia do better as their third stringer?
Yeah, we better stop referring to the kicker for the Lions as the Lions kicker, because by the end of the season, he's going to have at least 7 more teams under his belt.
He's going to be playing quarterback at the end of the season for someone.
I think that guy came out there today and he's like, you know what? This Blankenship has had a long enough run as the dorkiest looking kicker in the league. I'm coming after you, Rodrigo, and I'm going to do it by kicking the turf in front of the ball.
No. We need to keep the Colts special teams as they are. We need a Rodrigo kicker and a Rigoberto punter. We cannot change this. I'm sorry. There's no room. Rigoberto and Rodrigo, that tandem needs to stay.
You hate that the Colts get to play against all of these garbage teams, right?
It's unfair. It's unfair that Wentz gets away with this ridiculous bullshit. He is so reckless, and it never comes back to bite him. Even when he threw an interception, they ruled it as a fumble that Sunday night. I don't understand how he keeps getting away with this. There is going to be a rapid ascension to the mean for Carson Wentz towards the end of the season. Has to be.
Mike, they play the Bills next week, okay? It can start next week for them, okay?
Well,
but
Mike, I don't know.
Dan asked if the Bills are fixed. Like, how do you know if anyone's fixed? I don't know. They played the Jets. They beat the Jets. The Bills are fixed. I have no idea. If they lose to the Colts next weekend, no one's going to be surprised.
But no, look at the Bills' schedule, though, Stugotz. They've done that to the bad teams. They have ransacked the league's bad teams. Every time the Bills play the Jets or the Dolphins or Washington, they have clubbed and Kansas City like that. We got the Bills are not as good as they have looked, Stugotz. Like they were having these enormous point differentials. I'm not saying that Jacksonville is what they are either, but getting to play the Jets and having Mike White throw 4 interceptions as New York and Stugotz, this was funny watching your city go crazy thinking this person was someone special. That you found Mike White late in the draft. Like there were all sorts of people going in hoping this week that Mike White was going to be something that you could carry into the future, that you're not playing your number 1 overall pick because, hey, maybe Mike White.
I was one of them. I mean, but when you're as desperate as we are, I mean, you'll search anywhere to find what might be your quarterback. Like I was excited to see Mike White. I sat down, I watched that game for about a quarter. I was disgusted by what it is I saw. I got up and I left. I went to a different game. I went to 703. I went to the red zone. But why would you laugh at this point? We've been searching for a quarterback for 40 years. 40 years. I have never had a quarterback. And so I'm excited when Mike White gives me at least the possibility of having a quarterback. And I'll be excited when Zach Wilson comes back. I believe the analysis has to be different that we do on these teams. Like, look at the Dolphins' schedule the next 4 games. I believe everybody. I believe everybody who's giving analysis, and I know, Mike, that you're with me on this, on ESPN, that there should be a bubble over or around their head saying the next month of games, this is who they play. Like it should render any analysis you're making largely irrelevant based on, never mind injuries and COVID and anything else, just what's the schedule for the next month.
The pendulum, and particularly in the AFC, swings so wildly week to week that any week you can be just a frozen cold take by something that made a lot of sense less than a week ago. So that's why I made a promise to myself. I'm not going to pile on Baker Mayfield just yet, because if he plays on Sunday, he's playing the Lions. And then the pendulum will just swing wildly in the positive direction.
You're getting close, though. You want it. You're inching up to giving up on Baker, because you know what's going to happen, right? Odell is going to have a big game tonight. Like Odell is going to
on Monday night,
tomorrow night.
Yeah, he plays on Monday night, and it was kind of weird how that all worked out with the injury to Bobby Trees. Robert Woods tore his ACL almost immediately after the Odell thing was announced. So that's actually really tough luck, because I think Odell was going to operate mainly in the slot, and people probably thought that he would overtake Robert Woods, and I didn't think that would be the case. I thought he was very clearly the number 3 over there. Now Monday night, a big game in that division. He's going to have to contribute right away. To answer your question on Baker Mayfield, Charles Robinson, who is a great reporter for Yahoo, who has unblocked me in the years following the Nevin Shapiro stuff. I had a lot of tweets in his directions. Yeah, I'm very happy that he unblocked me. I acted irresponsibly, but it's a two-way street. It was just hibachi, basically. Come on now. He said, Jack Conklin makes a difference for the Browns offense. So does Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. If people want to criticize Mayfield, fine, but there's a reason the organization waited on the extension, and maybe you're seeing it. But getting this info before an extension is better than getting it afterwards. I've said on the show several times, it feels like Baker Mayfield is a quarterback that needs to have a lot of things going right for him in order to win at the highest level. He's not good enough to rise above scheme, and certainly injury. He's got a bum foot now. He's got a knee contusion. He's got a separated shoulder. He's without his right tackle. There was a turnstile there on one edge, and the left tackle wasn't that much better today. Chubb and Hunt and Johnson, that's what wears teams down. When it's just Johnson, you can see what happens. So I'm going to wait. It's not all on Baker, but he wasn't very good today. Obviously, nobody was wearing brown pants today. Nobody.
Mike, I don't want you to wait. I want to force you to make a decision now. And if you had to make a decision now, what would you do? Why? Why can't I ask you that? Answer the question. If you're forced to make a decision now.
I feel pretty confident.
Can I stop you for just a second? Stugotz, you do realize that you're working so much these days that you are slurring. You do realize that you have reached the point.
Your tongue sounds heavy.
People were very worried about you on God Bless Football on Friday. They were saying,
I feel great right now.
Stugotz, I'm just telling you that people kept saying he sounds unwell is what I kept getting.
If you allow me to stop talking for 15, 20 minutes, it'd be nice.
No, we can't.
Jesus.
We can't. You can't stop talking. Contractually, you have to keep talking.
I want you to answer the question, Mike. You have to make a decision right now. Answer the question.
It seems as though Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers might be available in this offseason, right? They're talking the last dance, and all the reporters in the know say Russell Wilson is going to do what he tried to do last offseason and force his way out of Seattle. I am very certain that no matter what shape Baker Mayfield is in, no matter how good this Brown season turns out, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are upgrades very clearly over Baker Mayfield. The question is, do you make Baker Mayfield walk? Do you play the franchise tag game? Do you scout other quarterbacks in college? I know that they sent scouts to that Kyle Pickett, Sam Howell game. I don't necessarily think that's the answer, but there are very clear and obvious upgrades this offseason, and the Browns have an attractive roster, but it's also Cleveland.
Stugotz, I would love if after we've all left, whenever we all sign off, if you just keep talking for a while, just sort of,
I'll make it happen.
Just sort of analyzing, just going through one by one, just looking at the schedule and the games, and just giving us a handful of scattershot thoughts.
Dolphins next 4. We could do the Dolphins next 4 because it is.
I mean, I was just doing the Bills next 4. It's very, very difficult. Very difficult schedule. I mean. Bills next 4, okay? Patriots, Saints, Buccaneers, Carolina, actually next 5, and then the Patriots again.
Is the Saints hard anymore?
The Saints are still hard.
You made Carolina hard just because they were playing Colt McCoy with a neck injury and from the Grey Cup.
Cam is back. I mean,
they're back.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I see that, and I raise you the next 4: the Dolphins, Jets, Giants, Panthers, Jets. I mean,
back in the mix.
7-7, baby. Let's go.
Back in the mix.
No.
Jessica,
I'm so mad right now. I put all my confidence points on the Ravens because you guys were like, the Dolphins are so bad in prime time. They're going to get smoked tonight. And
seriously, Whitty and Tony were guaranteeing the other day in the studio.
I lost so much money
by the
on
Ravens.
I just don't understand why you would watch what we've been watching the last 2 weeks specifically, where Washington wins outright as a 9.5-point dog, where Jacksonville beats Buffalo as a 14.5-point dog. I don't know why it is that you would think you have any mastery over what's going to happen in these games. I'm telling you, Stugotz, and I'm not making this up. There have been a number of times this season, where I am betting the opposite of what I think is going to happen just because I'm betting on football to be weird. I had the Washington team on the money line today for no other reason other than the sport is weird.
Nice win.
No,
nice. You salted the game away with a 10-minute drive. Look at you.
10 minute, 19-play drive. I was riding Heineke into the sky.
If you have Washington money, you have a lot of bets in. If you have
you're
Washington
chasing.
money line.
Well, if you have Washington money line, you're chasing.
Did you also have Texas yesterday?
No, there was no chasing, but there were. Yes, there are bets on every game. What do you mean? Like, of course. They did. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't. In fact, I'm like, I looked up at one point and I'm like, why don't I get this Tennessee Saints game? And then I look it up and I'm like, oh, I forgot. I missed it.
You were mad?
That's the worst, isn't it? That's the worst.
There was a game I thought I was winning the bet, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even bet this.
Speaking of the Titans, who are the best team in the conference at the moment, do you want me to read you a list of big time playmakers that they had in their game today that either caught touchdowns or caught big time first downs? Deonta Foreman, Marcus Johnson, Jeff Swaim, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Those are their best playmakers right now because A.J. Brown's hurt. Julio Jones is on IR. I know
that was a bad beat. That one hurt. That one really, really hurt. If you
had Titans, Titans -3 because you just basically that's a bet against Trevor Siemian, correct? That's all you're doing there.
Well,
that's exactly what it was. It was a bet against Trevor Siemian. And
Jessica,
Dan, we have no idea what we're doing. I have no earthly idea yet. I feel strangely confident that the Chiefs -3 tonight is the lock of the weekend.
Chasing.
Jessica, are you with me that it doesn't feel for real? Now, maybe this is different in New York. I know Miami, we don't have enough weather changes around here, but the holidays do not feel real until it has snowed in Lambeau. When it has snowed in Lambeau, the holidays have arrived. Not snowed in Pittsburgh, not snowed in Buffalo, when it snowed at Lambeau.
Yes, and when I saw those flurries start to fall today, that's when I knew it was time to put up the Christmas decorations, which, I already put up on November 1st, but it's time to put up more Christmas. It's time to start baking the cookies. I don't know about you guys, but when I watch a football game and the weather's really gross, I forget that that's not the weather wherever I am. So I was watching it snow during the Packers Seahawks game, and I was like, "Ooh, it's really cold out. It's snowing. I'm gonna have to put on my coat to go outside later." And then I was like, "Oh, it's actually not snowing here. That's on TV." Does that happen to anyone else?
No, because
you guys live in Florida,
because it's always 87 degrees.
That's fair.
I'm on red zone.
But I will show you guys something, even though this is why this was washing over me while it was snowing in Lambeau. Do you see behind my head here? You see back there? It started going up.
Oh, little Christmas tree.
The Christmas tree was going to, it just, the ornaments haven't gone up yet. There's a Bruce Willis ornament that he is climbing through the Yippee-ki-yay mother bleeper.
Little Christmas music, Dano, when you decorate, little Christmas music on, set the mood a little bit. Huh?
Set what mood? What mood? What mood? Yes, I was actually decorating the tree nude, Chris. I was wearing only a stocking. Yes,
emerging from the bedroom, only wearing a Santa hat.
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
Christmas time, and you start shaking your hips.
Right. That's right. Yeah, no, I jingle balls is what I sing. Yes, that's correct. That's absolutely right. Yes.
Good night, everyone.
Wow. Pinterest.
Whoa,
I like it.
Look at that. My wife with the visual aids. Yes.
I just realized that people listening to this on the podcast, it may seem like you just showed Chris Cody and Tina.
Yeah. Hey.
That's what happened.
That is what happened. What do you mean? That is exactly what happened. And if you could edit this creatively, just edit out the part where Stugotz says, if you could just let me stop talking, and we should just now leave. And Stugotz, if you could just spend 5 minutes analyzing the games just by looking at the schedule and the box score.
Aaron Rodgers has lost his glow, and I'll tell you who gained the glow. It was Bill Belichick. Belichick has absolutely gained a glow, and I'll tell you what. His team has won 4 straight. He might have landed the best rookie quarterback of the entire quarterback class. I mean, how about that? And here's what he did. Belichick didn't do anything. He just sat. He didn't trade a pick away. He didn't trade any assets. He didn't do anything. Belichick just sat there, and he waited, and he waited, and he waited, and he waited some more. And what landed in his lap? Mac Jones. And what have they done since they got Mac Jones? They've won 4 straight. They're 6-4. They're on their way to the playoffs. I mean, I got to tell you something. Brady, he may have won the battle, but Belichick, I think, probably is going to end up winning the war. How about that? The Patriots are legit good. And so I'm watching Rodgers right now live, SportsCenter post-game press conference, and Rodgers has absolutely lost his glow. Whatever glow he had, he lost it. Now, listen, I can't explain it, but I'm telling you there was a glow there once, okay? And it is no longer there. And then when you go to Belichick, and they just did, Belichick is glowing. Now, it's hard to read Belichick, but I'm telling you, if you know Belichick the way I know Belichick, and no one knows it better, okay? Belichick is absolutely glowing. He is. It's amazing. So tonight, you got Chiefs and Raiders. We'll find out this week whether or not the Raiders are for real. But I am telling you, I know nothing. I'm not certain I won a single bet, but I feel like the Chiefs are the lock of the century. How about that? The Kansas City Chiefs. I think Mahomes, I think Kelsey, I think they all get on the same page tonight against the Raider team that has a lot going on off the field, but that didn't prevent them from winning 2 straight. Then they lost 1. I think the Chiefs are the absolute lock of the year. It was a crazy week in the NFL. It really was. You know what is key? Dan comes on here. And he wants this explained. He wants that explained. He wants this. You can't explain it. I've been watching football for 40 years. And here's the one thing I learned about the NFL. You cannot explain the NFL. Why? Because football happens, and it's week to week, and you have no idea if a tackle is out. You have no idea if a guard hurt himself during the week. We have no idea if a team center pulled a groin during the week. You have no idea. So you know what I've done? I've stopped trying to figure football out, and I just accept it for what it is. It is random. It is glorious. I love it more than any sport I've ever loved in my life. That's it. Period. End of discussion. I am taking the Chiefs -3 tonight. It is the lock of the century. They get it fixed, okay? But if the Raiders win and they win by 30 points, I would not be surprised. Have a good night, everyone.